We're about 7 miles or so from the crash site, but it actually takes about 30 minutes to get there by boat. We just talked to a lieutenant from the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office who spent most of the day down there. He says they have recovered about half of the wreckage, about half of that helicopter, including the black box. It is in an area, that crash site, that is nothing but swamp and marsh, and at this point still covered by fuel.
Probably happened somewhere in this neighborhood right here.
Bobby Bro owns the Bayou Black Marina. He knows the waters around here well.
A lot of the land out there is nothing but marsh, which is what they call a floating bottom. If you step out there in certain spaces, you're going to go down to your neck.
The only way to get to the crash site is by boat. That's how Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's deputies got to the scene yesterday afternoon, shortly after the chopper crashed.
We know there was 9 people on board. There was one survivor when we arrived.
The Coast Guard medevaced the survivor, Steve Yelton of Texas, to Auctioner Hospital in Jefferson. Sheriff's deputies used airboats to bring back the bodies of 6 other passengers and the 2 pilots. The chopper was owned by PHI. It took off from the company's base here in Amelia, Louisiana. It was headed to an oil platform owned by Shell. Terrebonne Parish Sheriff Vernon Bourgeois says PHI has flights out of Amelia daily.
You see them flying over the building right here just about every day. They, they transport them to the rigs out there. That's the only way they got to get out there.
A barge headed out to the crash site today carrying a crane that will pick up all of the wreckage. NTSB investigators will be on the scene at daybreak Tuesday to begin piecing together what caused PHI's chopper to go down. And we're told that the search has stopped for today. It's been suspended because down there in that marshy, swampy area, it's getting too foggy to really do anything at this point. So they're going to secure that scene, and they hope to be able to get the NTSB down there and the barge back in with the crane to finish picking up the wreckage tomorrow morning, but they're just not sure if the weather's going to hold out. I think there's about an 80% chance for rain, Nancy. And also, I talked to the NTSB investigator who's in charge of this crash site by phone this morning. He said that black box will be hand-delivered to him tonight in Lafayette, and then he'll do a preliminary examination of it, and then he'll send it on to NTSB headquarters in Washington. Of course, they're hoping that black box, that voice data recorder, will have the information they need to help piece together what happened here. Nancy?
All right, Val Bracy live in Terrebonne Parish. Thanks.
John, this deadly fire has left an entire community in mourning. The family is well known in their small community, and the children who died will be missed by many. What were once cherished belongings of the children who lived in this trailer are now just ashen debris. 11-year-old Ladarius Johnson and 10-year-old Devontae Young died in the fire. Young's twin brother, Devontre, and 5-year-old Ladeja Benyon are in the hospital. 8-year-old Laterica Benyon got out safely.
I always wake up in the middle of the night, and I woke up and it had a couch next to me, and air conditioner right next to me, and it had caught on fire. And I screamed and yelled and told my mom that the house is on fire and woke everybody up.
We heard a big boom, and I ran to my back door.
Sierra P. says her fiancé tried to help put out the fire with a water hose. She won't soon forget what she saw.
The little guy that's in intensive care now, he had burns from his face, head, everything. The only thing that was burnt on him was the bottom of his feet.
P claims she and other neighbors called 911 and were put on hold. She also questions the fire department's response.
They pulled up with no water in the truck, had to leave and go get water and come back. By the time they came back, the kids were still hollering, had life, had hope in them. They could have went in and got them. They just stood there. After they heard the silence of the kids, no more screaming and hollering.
A spokesman for the fire department disputes the neighbors' claims, saying trucks arrived within 5 minutes of receiving the first 911 call and that firefighters followed procedure by the book.
We arrived on scene with approximately 5,500 gallons of water, and if a truck left, it was to go get more water.
Captain Shannon Joyner says based on the severity of the fire, there was no way to save anyone trapped inside. Sierra P. wants first responders' actions investigated.
Everybody is devastated. That was the immediate family, but everybody around here, we was all close. That was our family, too. That all took a piece from us.
As P prays for the survivors, she struggles with what to tell the other children here who want to know what happened to their playmates. So far, all she's come up with is that the angels came and got them. We were unable to reach the Sheriff's Department employee who was in charge of the 911 system. The state fire marshal says any investigation would have to be done at the local level by the city of Ponchatoula or Tangipahoa Parish. John? A subdivision called Timber Lane, just on the outskirts of town. See that trampoline in the trees behind me? Neighbors tell me it used to be in the yard next door. Believe it or not, people around here are lucky. We spent most of the day in a part of town that was much harder hit. Keith Sanders was at Bogalusa High School, where he teaches math, when the storm tore through his Forest Hills neighborhood.
I got a call from Brink Security System telling me that my motion detectors were going off inside the house.
He rushed home and found this.
Got a tree coming through the big window that we had in the front and a branch. I don't know how it got in there.
Sanders bought this house 2 years ago. He had big plans for his new property.
This was to be my piano studio. We just recently finished about a month ago redoing the inside.
Look at the way the trees that fell literally snapped. That's why Bogalusa officials are convinced a tornado touched down here. They don't believe wind could do this type of damage.
I've been on the phone with the parish president, and he's declared the parish state of emergency. So now we'll start the process of getting contractors in and start getting it cleaned up.
Keith Sanders is eager to get his place cleaned up.
My wife is pregnant now. She's 3.5 months pregnant. So we're about to have our first child in November. So I just hope we can get everything back in place so we can bring our baby to our home. Sanders
is grateful no one was home when the storm hit, and that on what may be one of the worst days of his life, he was able to salvage some mementos.
One of my wedding gifts.
From one of the best. Now, that Forest Hills neighborhood that the Sanders live in is on the west side of Bogalusa. Coming up new at 5:30, we'll take you to the east side of town, which looks almost just as bad. Back to you guys.
All right, Val Bracy, thank you.